So there's a lot of fluff on the best kind of funnel, the best way to run ads and make money for your coaching business. So really the purpose of this video is to consolidate that into one strategy that you can use that will surefire get you the ROAS you're looking for, and get you results for your coaching business, right? This also works with agencies, service-based businesses. It just depends on your offer. But the whole idea of this video is to get the simplest way that we can get you money with ads. So without further ado, what we're going to do is turn to the screen here where you'll be able to see me, and we're going to dive straight into this, right? So first things first, we have to know with ads, all ads do is just make whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying bigger. That's literally all ads do, right? They just put whatever you have already and they just expand it. They put a microphone in front of it and they show it to more people, right? Which means that you can basically think of this as like, if this is your offer, right? If this is your offer and you're trying to run ads, then literally all you're doing is you're just making it bigger. That's literally, you're just scaling it up, right? So normally with your offer, the thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure your offer is proven, right? Because if it's not proven, then what you're going to be scaling is going to be trash, right? So if your offer is trash and you put ads in front of it, all you're doing is just scaling it up and it's trash, right? Just keep that in mind, right? Proven means that you have sold it or you have had clients already. You have clients already. Usually it's proven when you have the money to actually test it, right? Because if you don't have money to test it, then you probably aren't in a position to start running ads for your business. Your ads shouldn't save your business, right? They should expand what's already there, right? Again, it just amplifies and multiplies and adds scale to what's already working. So if this is trash, then it's just going to expand this. And the more budget you give, the more worse it's going to get. And then, eventually what's going to happen is like when you expand something so big, the quality, the actual like low res of the actual image gets worse and worse, right? So same thing with ads, right? So it gets to a certain point where even if you do scale it, like if you get like up into like, thousands of dollars a day, it starts becoming like more low res. You need to like figure out new tactics and you need to be more attentive in the ads manager in order to actually make this sort of thing profitable, or as profitable as it can be, right? That's the whole thing. You just got to keep that in mind. So make sure that first things first, you have a proven offer, right? You have to have a proven offer. That means you've sold it to people cold, maybe in the DMs, LinkedIn, whatever it means, organically. If you have an organic presence and it's working for you, you're getting calls every now and then, even if it's just every now and then that's proven. You're able to start running ads, right? Of course, the ads do matter, but what really matters is the funnel, right? Because the funnel is the offer. The funnel is basically what you're going to be taking people through. And there's a million different kind of funnels that you can run out there. And I've fallen into the trap of caring about like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this funnel and perfect this for my clients. And I realized the easiest and simplest funnel to get results for your coaching business is a VSL funnel. Okay. It's kind of boring. I know everybody says, everybody's running VSL funnels, but the reason that they're running it is because it works. And it is the simplest funnel for the result that you can get, right? So we have the VSL right here, and then we have we have a webinar, and we have, or sometimes it can also be a challenge as well. We have a low ticket kind of funnel. So these are funnels that like typically go to like some kind of lower priced course or something and then upsell them into a higher kind of item, right? So these are some of the main ones. There could be others, that I can't remember off the top of my head, but these are some of the main ones, right? So if we dive into all these different kind of funnels, right? So first starting with the VSL, let's look at the structure of the VSL, right? So first you have the ad. So we're just going to do this. So you have the ad. So going from there, and then you have the ad going to a VSL, a video sales letter. So it's just like a 10, 15 minute, it depends on how much they need to learn. And I'll get into that with this funnel. We have the ad going to a VSL, going to an application, right? Just so that you are only talking to qualified leads. We'll just put application. So just app, just like that. And then from that application, they're going to a call. So just like that, right? And then from that call, they either close or they don't, right? So we can just put call and then money, right? So that's the standard VSL funnel, right? And everything in here, and I'm going to get into this when we dive more into the specific of the VSL funnel, but you can already see there's already a lot of moving parts just in the VSL funnel. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just go into the next one, right? Webinar. So with webinar, you're doing an ad to a webinar, right? So sometimes it'll be like we can put like some kind of page or something. So let's move this, because sometimes there's a VSL there as well. But you know what, honestly, for simplicity's sake, what we're gonna do is just make it simple, right? So the ad goes to some kind of webinar registration page. Sometimes it has a VSL, sometimes it doesn't. And then from that webinar, there's two options they can go. They can either go to a call. So let's go ahead and do that. So basically they have two options, right? So let's do this, okay, make it fancy. So they can go to a call. Some people just put them onto a call here. And then from that call, they make money, right? Or they just try to close them right then and there, right? So that's the webinar funnel. Now, the thing with the webinar funnel, which makes it really hard, and by extension, the challenge funnel, is that you have to build up hype for them to actually want to show up to a webinar or challenge. And it's harder than you think, right? Because you have to make sure you have sequences dialed in. You have to make sure they're actually engaged, they're actually interested. And it's not impossible, and many coaches succeed with webinar funnel, right? Because you can get a lot of volume in there and then just close them all on a call. But there's a lot of different nuances to it. And at the end of the day, a webinar is probably not going to close as much on a high ticket deal compared to like if you were just a one-on-one with a like kind of intimacy to be able to see their problems there, right? But for some offers, it makes more sense, right? So it just depends on what you're selling. But like if you are a more like service kind of business, so for example, for me, being an agency, I probably won't do a webinar, right? I mean, I can, and maybe that could work, and I could do a webinar teaching you how to do these funnels and things like this, but it would make more sense for me to have a one-on-one conversation with potential prospects, because then I can dive into their business. It's more intimate and they know like whether it's for them or not. Whereas webinar, you just don't have that intimacy there. And you know, that's kind of the trade-off. So the closing percentage on average, you know, might be a little bit less. And on top of that, you might not be able to charge as much with a webinar compared to a VSL call funnel, because again, it's not as intimate. But if you decide to go the call route, then, you know, that's better. But then it's like, if you're going to do a webinar and then a call, you might as well just do a call, right? Why have the extra step, right? But yeah, the hard part with a webinar is just that you have to get them to show up to that webinar, and then you have to do it over and over and over again, get them to show up on a specific date. And that, since it's less intimate, you know, they have a better way of getting it out there compared to like if it's a VSL, it's a one-on-one and you're actually talking with the founder, right? So there's that. And then we have the low ticket funnel, right? So that means this is going from an ad to a kind of like a low ticket item, right? So this low ticket item can sometimes be anywhere from, we can do from like, sometimes it's even like as low as $4 to $97, and you're gonna have to just kind of bear with that, right? With that kind of handwriting. So it goes to a low ticket item, and then from that low ticket item, they sometimes they get pushed onto a call, you know, and then they get closed there on the call. Or sometimes it gets pushed into like their email system, and then, you know, they get nurtured and then they get pushed onto a call. Sometimes they also get pushed onto like a high ticket kind of or they get a higher ticket thing or a mid ticket thing before they actually get into a call. And this can work sometimes, and it can help you to save some money, because like, you know, if you can get this landing page to convert on the low ticket at a good rate, where like you spend, you know, $50 and for every $50 you spend, you get $50 back. So then you're getting customers for free, then it can really work. But the problem is that this is a really challenging funnel to get working profitably, right? That's the only problem with this, you know, to get this like section to work and actually do its job where you're breaking even on this so that you're getting calls for free is really challenging, right? And if you're just running ads on your own, I wouldn't recommend doing this from like the first thing, right? Ads are way more profitable, and just the way it is in 2024 going to 2025, literally tomorrow, ads make way more sense doing high ticket stuff. You know, selling low ticket stuff on its own without having any major upsells is not the way to go, right? So yeah, that's basically that. Those are your three funnels. So if I were you, I would just stick with the VSL funnel because this is the easiest thing to get going. It's the easiest way to get people to show up. Webinar, you have to have sequences and things in there, unless it's a different kind of niche, but webinars can be overused sometimes as well. So webinars are a little bit challenging when it comes to getting people to actually show up. And on top of that, they're used a lot, right? So if the market is a little bit more sophisticated, so for example, if you're selling to coaches, you guys have heard about webinars a million times. So yeah, you might sign up for a webinar, but you're probably not going to take it seriously unless it's something you really, really care about, right? And that's just the truth of the matter. Whereas if it's a VSL and you're a coach, you've probably heard of VSLs as well, but you can actually be more transparent about that in the actual copy. You can be like, just opt into the VSL, right? And the coach will be like, oh, I know what opting in is. I know what a VSL is. Yeah, sure. Let me do that, right? And they know what they're getting. And with the VSL, you can make it like 5 minutes since it's a direct offer. Whereas a webinar is a webinar, right? So you can't make it like you're more limited, right? And on top of that, it's a lot of effort. So yeah, and of course you can do like the every webinar route and like have like an evergreen webinar and try to sell it like that. But like at that point, why not just do a VSL? Like why not just do that? I guess if you just want to sell straight to some kind of like high ticket item, you can do evergreen webinar, but you're probably not going to get as good conversions compared to if you just had them on a call in the first place, right? Evergreen webinars are getting harder and harder to actually sell a high ticket item off of, right? So those are your options. If I were you, I would just stick with the VSL funnel. This is the simplest, easiest way, right? So we're going to get rid of all of this and focus on this VSL funnel here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. And you're just going to have to bear with my handwriting again, right? So that's that. Let's go ahead and get into the actual structure of, actually like breaking down how we're going to make this thing work from scratch, right? So we have the ads, the VSL, the application, and the call, right? So the two things that really like the main things that we need to worry about are the ads and the VSL. Those are going to be the main two things that are going to be like our time consumers, right? Making the ads, making the videos, making the pictures, and making the VSL. The application is pretty straightforward. You just ask them qualifying questions, and then the call is just your Calendly or Go high level link depending on what software you use, right? So yeah, but for the ad and the VSL, now let's go ahead and dive into the best platform, the structure, and what you will say in the ad, right? So the key to a VSL funnel, and really all funnels, is that you want to have congruency between the ad, the VSL, and even in the sales process. Then if you can make all of that congruent, then you're going to see higher stats across the board for everything, right? So with the ads, the key is to just have an introduction to the offer, right? You're just introducing people to the VSL. You're not introducing them to the call, to the application, like, okay, I book a call, or you're not trying to do all that, right? The whole point of the ad is to get their interest and to feed their curiosity and get the click. The ad is supposed to get the click, right? But there is a certain level where you don't want to bait people into clicking, or else you're just going to get a lot of low quality clicks. You want to get the right people to click. Not all clicks are created equal, right? So you want to get the right kind of people to click, and the way to do that is to have the right kind of offer, the right kind of messaging, the right kind of qualifying messaging in the ad, right? So for example, if you're selling, let's just do this example because it makes it the easiest, right? So let's say I'm a YouTube ads agency, I'm selling YouTube ads as my service, right? So an ad that I could do with a good hook would be like, okay, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads hands down every single time, right? So that kind of draws in some curiosity, because if there's a coach, they're going to be like, okay, well, explain why does it beat, Facebook ads? And I've been running Facebook ads for a while. So you're telling me YouTube ads do even better? Or, oh, it's going to kind of trigger something with these kind of coaches, right? So they might be like, oh, okay, I maybe there's something else I can try out there because Facebook ads has been sucking for me recently, right? So they hear that and they're interested, right? So you have the three components of the actual ad, right? So you have the hook, and then you have the body, and then you have the close, right? So we just explain the hook. That's how you do that. And then into the body, you just explain your offer. You explain your reasoning, right? Why is it the best? But you don't go into the nitty gritty and go into all of the value. You just kind of give down a kind of simple breakdown on why. Maybe give a little bit of value, don't give a bunch away. It's an ad at the end of the day. They can just scroll by. You're kind of interrupting their experience anyways, right? So just keep that in mind, right? You want to make sure that, like, if you're going to give information, be a little bit frugal about it. Don't give everything away, because it's an ad at the end of the day, right? So explain your reasoning. That's basically the whole idea with the body. And there's more in-depth kind of concepts for the ads, right? Like in terms of, like, if you want to, like, know exactly how to make an ad, I have videos on that. Just scroll in my channel, you'll see other videos on ads, right? But that's the idea with the ads, the ad body. And then the close is to get them to click onto the page and still kind of feed their curiosity, right? If you want to learn more, click on the page. It will take you to a little opt-in, and then you can watch the VSL, right? You can watch the training, right? In the ad, you're selling the VSL. You're not selling the actual call or the actual offer, right? You're selling the VSL. And so the best way to sell the VSL is to basically treat it like a training or some kind of valuable information resource. So training or case study, that's one of the main two. And that could work, right? And the VSL doesn't have to be pure training. It's just like, you're doing that. I mean, like, it's just simple, right? You just have the training, a little bit of training in there, and then you push them onto a call, right? You give them some value, you still keep the curiosity, and you push them onto a call. Case study, you give them the case study, explain like how it worked or why it worked, and explain that you can do the same for them, and you're going to teach them the entire system for free on a call, right? Or you're going to audit their thing for free on a call, right? So, we can say YouTube ads beats Facebook ads hands down every single time. And the reason that it does this is because it has intent-based validation, which basically just means that you can target people. I said intent-based validation, intent-based targeting, right? So you can target people based on exactly what they are searching for. Whereas Facebook, you can only target based on interests, right? So you can target your exact client based on what they're searching. And if you want to learn more about how the system works and how we can get you more qualified clients into your pipeline on autopilot, then watch the training explaining how we can do this for you. Done. That's literally an ad right there. It's a little short, but you get the idea. So hook, body, close. Hook, you introduce them, you kind of like hook them in. Doesn't have to be complicated, right? Body, explain. Literally, that's it. Just explain, and give like a kind of a unique selling angle or like selling proposition in there, something that's kind of new or feels new, intent-based targeting, that's kind of new. And then close, if you want to watch the training, click the link, opt into the page, right? And simple thing with the close, what you can do if you want to get a better kind of opt-in rate is to explain what they're going to get when they go onto that page, or show a picture of what they're going to get. That helps a lot, right? So that's how you do it for video ads. If you're doing a picture ad, it's more straightforward. You just have the picture, and you just kind of, you put this in the copy in a way. You just want to kind of throw it in the copy there. And the picture, the idea is to kind of, again, inspire curiosity from them, So that's that. Now let's go into the VSL, right? So the VSL is the same structure, right? There's going to be a hook, body, and close. That's literally how it is. So let's go ahead and condense that. Put the VSL here, right? So hook, body, close, but the difference is that you're going to go more into the actual body this time around, right? So let's go ahead, and you're honestly going to give more to the body and close this time around, right? So it's going to be a little bit bigger. You're going to be more focused on these things right here in the VSL, right? You have to explain more, or show them like more like how it can work for them, and then like close, you just want to spend more time closing them because you have that extra time, right? But the hook should still be short. There shouldn't be a long hook, right? In the body and close, the best way to kind of describe what you want to treat the VSL as is an ad, but give it more social proof. If I were you in a VSL, I would give way more like social proof as to why this can work for them, because now the step that you're making them do takes a lot more intention from them, right? So if you don't prove to them that like you can do what you say you can do, then it's going to be harder to actually convert them compared to just an ad, because you're getting them to actually book a call with you, right? Which is what makes like things like low ticket funnels kind of hard, because it's like that action that you're getting them to do, it's not even book a call with you. You're trying to get them to swipe their credit card, right? So that's why with the VSL funnel, the action that they're doing, booking a call, is less aggressive. But it comes with its perks, you know what I mean? Where like if you can close 10-15% of the calls, and you got this. And so yeah, so that's the VSL. You just want to make a longer ad, basically, if that makes sense. But you want to explain your reasoning a little bit more and just dive into these concepts a little bit deeper. And depending on what your offer is, depending on how sophisticated your market is, will depend on the length of the VSL. So if you're selling something brand new to people who like don't even know, so like if you were selling like teenage kids Amazon FBA and they don't even know like what Amazon FBA is, you have to spend more time explaining what it is on the VSL, right? It's gonna be kind of hard to sell a high ticket offer to teenage kids, but it's an example, right? So you have to spend more time actually explaining what you're selling them for these kind of more sophisticated offers, but or unsophisticated kind of markets, I mean. But if it's a more sophisticated market for that already know a lot of marketing tactics or know a lot of terms and know-how in the kind of marketing space, then you're gonna go with more direct kind of offers, right? On the ad level and also on the VSL level, right? Just like a 5-minute direct offer. Again, like basically what I said in the ad, just explain a little bit more as to why it can work for their business and what you've done for other businesses. And then just tell them, okay, and if this interests you, book a call. We'll demo the system out. It's really simple, and we'll see if this can work for you. If it doesn't work, not a problem. But it's completely free audit. We're already auditing your thing, and pretty simple. So that's how I would do it. Just always know that you're not selling the offer in the VSL. You're selling the call, right? You're selling the call, and to sell the call, you have to attach value to that, because nobody's going to hop on a call for no reason and waste 45 minutes of their time. So why do they want to get on a call? You explain to them that they're going to get on a call, not so that you can sell them on your offer, but you can give them some kind of value on the call, right? Some kind of clarity, some kind of direction. So you can audit their account, you can look at their business or look at their whatever it is and leave them with a strategy that can work for them, right? That's typically the kind of generic way to do it, but that works, right? So that's how you do that. And then an application is, again, just qualifying questions. And the key with the application is the more specific, kind of harder questions that you add in there, the more intentional someone's going to be about booking a call, and it's going to raise your cost per call, right? So if you have a question like, okay, what's your business? That's simple, right? Like, or you say, put your business's website. That's simple, right? But if you decide to ask a question like, okay, what's your current monthly estimated monthly revenue, right? And then there's a bunch of options. Well, that's a little bit of a harder question that qualifies them. And then you're able to see that, but it also filters out a lot of those tire kickers that are like, I don't feel like answering that question. So the key with the application is to strike a balance where you can qualify them as much as you can without losing everybody, right? And so it just depends on, how, like what your offer is again. But it's usually, like for me, I have like 4 qualifying questions when I do calls, just like seeing what they're selling. But like, let's say I'm running ads, then I would have a little bit more, because again, I don't want to waste time with people who aren't qualified or are tire kickers, right? I only want to work with people who are serious and want to make money. So that's how you do that. The application is pretty simple. And then call, you take it from there, right? There's a bunch of sales training videos and things like this, but you already kind of get how to do a sales call. But most of the problems, that the reason you're watching this video is because you want to learn how to get more people on calls with you that are actually qualified. And so this is how you do it, right? And if you're having trouble with quality throughout any of this, and you're seeing that the people that you're attracting are just low quality, they don't have any money, then it means that the messaging, especially in your ad, needs to be tweaked, right? Because the control with the quality doesn't come from the targeting, it comes from what you say in the ad, right? Because you can't really control like the quality too much, right? There is some like income targeting options with Google, but it's not really robust, right? You have to put the right kind of messaging and use the right kind of vocab in that sense. I don't know what the best kind of analogy would be, but the best way to do it is vocab, honestly, just like using more sophisticated terms, right? So for example, in the ad, you can say opt in to the VSL. A lot of coaches don't know what a VSL is, but the coaches that do know what a VSL are way more actually like qualified, because they actually know what that is. So that's the application. That's kind of the breakdown of the entire funnel there. So again, just have congruency throughout the actual entire process, right? So they shouldn't be hearing things different in the landing page compared to what they hear in the ad, compared to what they hear in the VSL, or even, in the descriptions of the calls and things like this. And in this funnel, the thing that makes this work really, really well, and makes this really profitable, is when you start having more automated sequences in these things, right? Or you just have people dialing leads, right? So when they opt in, instead of like them opting in and then relying on just the VSL, you can have them opt in and then dial leads that actually opt in to get them onto a call, right? And instead of you dialing this, you can hire cold callers to do that for you. And that would be a lot easier, honestly, right? Same thing with email sequences. You can have email sequences for those people who opt in, showing social proof. There's this one soap opera sequence by Russell Brunson, and it's pretty straightforward. You just show them social proof and show them kind of put them through a story. And the whole idea is to, again, raise that confidence that you are the person that can actually help them. So that's how you make the VSL funnel work. But this is, the whole thing. And the reason that this funnel works, again, really, really well, is just because it's really simple to get going, right? You just need ads, then you need the VSL, then you need just some softwares. For the software, you can use Typeform and Calendly for the calls, right? Or you can use Go High Level for both, right? Go High Level kind of covers that, but Calendly is more well known. Typeform is a little bit smoother. So, it's just kind of pick whatever you want and just stick to it and use it, right? And the key with this funnel is that probably when you first run it, it's not going to work the way that you think it will. You're going to need to reiterate on things. You might need to film more VSLs before you actually get one that converts the way you like, right? Same thing with ads. Even more so with ads. You're going to need to run a lot of ads if you want to make money with this kind of funnel, because there's going to be lots of different angles, especially if you're just starting out with ads that you're going to be needing to test. So just keep that in mind. Same thing with calls, right? Everybody knows that the way to get better with sales is just by doing more sales calls, right? So it's the same thing with ads, same thing with VSLs. Same thing with all this stuff. And once you have this funnel set up, then you can get into the more complicated funnels, low ticket and challenge and these and things, right? But if you're just starting out and you just want to make some money with ads, this is the easiest funnel to do. And I think it's the funnest, honestly. So yeah, that's basically what I would do for that. Next thing is the metrics, right? So in this funnel, the main metrics that you want to look for in terms of the performance of the ad are going to be the click-through rate, the CPM, right? That's cost per 1,000 impressions. The view rate as well. That's also important if you have a video ad. And there's also, like on Facebook, you can calculate like by subtracting the click-through rate from the link click-through rate on Facebook. You will be able to get kind of like the scroll stopping rate, and that's important as well, right? But that's just like a Facebook thing. So view rate, and typically for view rate, you're looking at around like 20% or so. Sometimes more, sometimes less. That's what you basically want. Click-through rate, anywhere from 1% to 2% is good. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends on the other kind of back-end metrics. And then CPM, $50, right? Sometimes more, sometimes less. Just depends, right? But these are more vanity metrics. These don't determine money, right? So it doesn't really matter like that much. So don't pay too much attention. But if you want to know if your ad is doing good, these are some of the metrics I would look at, right? So for VSL, if you have an opt-in before, it's going to be around 60% view rates that you're looking for, right? A 60% view rate, sometimes more, sometimes less. And you're trying to convert around 20% or so, honestly. That would be kind of like that. So we can put conversion rate, 20% of the people that actually opt in go to an application, basically, right? Go into the actual call. So that's that conversion rate. And honestly, I think those are really the conversion rate is what matters the most here, and if it's a bigger VSL, the view rate might go down, but the conversion rate should still be high, right? So that's that. Call close rate should be like 10 to 20%. It should be more than 10%, honestly. But 10 to 20%, for that kind of close rate, right? That's basically the funnel, and then you can do the math with this. And also the actual cost per leads, right? So in the VSL funnel, you have the cost per lead, after they opt in, how much does it cost to actually get that lead? So for B2B, that lead, if you're just selling to businesses, is going to be around $20, right? So if it's B2C, though, it's going to be closer to $10, right? And that's on the more like YouTube side. If you're doing Facebook, it might be a little bit cheaper for both. But on the YouTube side, $20 to $10. Sometimes it's more though. For some specific, really specific B2B niches, it can be $50. And again, it just depends on the math that works out in the rest of the funnel. So if it is $50 cost per lead, but your VSL is converting at 40%, and you're getting calls and they're closing at 40%, then you're good. Why change everything? The really cost per lead and these kind of back end metrics matter way more than the front end metrics like click-through rate. So if your click-through rate is 0.5%, which is pretty bad, but your cost per lead is $10 and you're closing these deals, then why change it, right? Of course, you should always be testing. So I would test an ad that has a higher click-through rate, but just keep that in mind. You don't need to always have everything be perfect as long as it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So if the ROAS is good, don't mess with the system. Just test besides it, right? And see if you can get better results. So that's how that works, right? In terms of the budget, you're looking at around 2 to 3 times the ideal cost per lead for each campaign. And you're going to have around 3 or 4 campaigns when you're testing, right? So if your cost per lead for B2B is $15, right? Let's say, okay, you put it at $15. That means your campaigns, when you're testing the targeting, are going to be anywhere from $30 to $45 a day per campaign, right? And you're going to have 3 or 4 of those to test the different targeting options, right? So if you do the math, that would be, if it's like $30 per campaign and you have 4 campaigns, it's $120 a day, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, yeah, $120 a day. So typically it ranges. If you're running a less kind of sophisticated market kind of offer, something where it's like, people like it's just a no-brainer. So like BizOp offers, Amazon FBA, make money online, drop shipping. You can get away with a lesser budget because the cost per lead is less that you're expecting, since everybody wants to start a drop shipping business. And so you can get away with spending $40 a day if you wanted, or I guess not 40, it would be 20, so about $100 a day. So it just depends, but that's that, right? So hopefully this video was insightful. That's basically going down through all the economics of the VSL funnel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to just run this and build this entire thing for you, so you don't have to worry about all these metrics, I'm going to leave my Calendly link below. You can book a call, we'll audit your business, we'll see what we can actually do, if we can help you out or not. Again, I hope this was insightful. Leave any questions or comments in the comments below. And if you like this video, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.